let's use a radio that everybody's somewhat familiar with or whatever. Let me just bring up something here where we are. Let's go here.
Will you be getting into Chirp at all, Al, as well, or mention it at least?
Yeah, I'm going to talk about Chirp too, for sure. Okay, so, and this may be a little hard for everybody to see, but we'll try and bring it up and go from there. So, okay, one of the this is what RT systems look like, and I'm sure it's going to be very hard on your screen to have a close look at it, but what it does is they're all basically the same. And the nice thing about RT system software is it's interchangeable with any RT systems. Okay, so let's say I've got an ICOM, and this is the software for the ID 5100 mobile dual band radio. All right, what you do is you put your receive frequency, your transmit frequency, your offset, and they all have drop down bars. So if I click on this little gray box here with the drop down bar, you can see that I have a whole series of offset frequencies that are in here. And they're all the presets. Of course, 2 meters is 600 kilohertz offset. So you click on that, automatically goes. And then you can do a positive or negative or simplex for the offset direction. So it's got simplex, negative dupe, which is negative duplex, and positive dupe, which is positive duplex. Operating mode, because this is a D-Star radio, it's got DV for digital voice, FM for the regular FM wide, and then it's got FM narrow, okay, which you can do that too. And then it's got a name, so whatever name you want to put in here gives you the alphanumeric readout, so V3 RMI for the repeater, and that, or you could put the frequency in there, 147.27 or whatever, island RPT, you know, whatever you wanted to punch in there, you could do that. Then if you have a tone, it gives you the option to put tone, tone squelch, R, DTCS, which is digital tone controlled squelch, and DTCSR. And then you've got CT, continuous tone, continuous squelch, and you can add whatever frequency is required. We use 156.7 for the repeaters on Manitoulin. TOP and Elliott Lake uses 123.0. So you have those in there. And then you
Just put
have,
that in there for Ted.
and then you have got the skip. If you want to skip the channels, you can turn that on or off. The steps, 15 kilohertz, 25. And then if it is a D-Star radio, you have the additional inputs. Your call sign, which is usually CQ, which is you're calling any station, and then the repeater 1 and the repeater 2. So it's usually the repeater, V3RXR space C, which means that repeater 1 goes into the repeater, and then repeater 2, it goes out of the repeater. What do you want to do? Well, you want to go V3RXR space G, G for gateway through the internet, so that can be heard worldwide. And then you can add banks to it and that with it. So you can add, it's got 1,000 channels with it, which is pretty cool. You know, all these channels, and you wonder, well, do you really need all these channels programmed into your radio and that? So for instance, here's my hotspot. I have it programmed into the radio. So if I'm traveling down the highway and I've got my open spot or my zoom spot or whatever hooked up in my vehicle, I have this, but I have it set up as V3AJB space B because I'm using UHF, and V3AJB space G because I want to go out through the gateway or the internet. And these are all the control channels, and it's a simplex frequency that I'm using. That's here, 434, 450 is the frequency that I use with it. And they're all in there. So I can dial my 5100 in the car, have the hotspot running, put it on 5 watts, low power with the antenna on the back of the vehicle, and work through my hotspot in the car going down the highway with it. And the thing is, if I wanted to say, okay, take my 5100 and put it in my ID51 ICOM handheld, what I do is I bring up the ID51 software and cut and paste. So what you would do is just basically go to the start, click over, highlight it in blue, bring it all the way down. Okay, the channels that you want to do. All right, and I'll just stop it here. Right click, hit copy. All right, so I'm copying all these frequencies. And then I bring up a blank page, right click it, make it all blue, and then right click and hit paste. And now all those frequencies will now go into the 5100 and, or the 51 and identical. So the way I have my radio set up, my handheld, is identical to my ID 5100 that's in the car. So if I go to channel 335, well, I know that's a repeater in Toronto, and away I go. So it is so easy to use this ICOM or this RT system software. And then what you do is you can go in and go into setups. All right, people get really mixed up going into the menus of various radios and finding, well, I want to change this, or I want to change a setting, or the timeout timer or something. Click on settings, you go here to radio menu settings, and you click this open. And now you've got the box of all the menu settings in that particular radio. And you can go in and adjust these. And if you know, this is on common stuff like the active bands, auto repeater is on, data speed, fan control of your radio, keyboard type, mic gain, right? We talk about mic gain controls of radios. Some need to be cranked up a bit, but how do you find it on the actual radio? I got to go into this, turn that, go here, go there. It's really complicated, but on here, it's fairly straightforward. Squelch settings, squelch delay, timeout timer, UHF on high, low power, whatever you want to set, and set up all the other parameters. Then you've got display and sounds. How do you want it shown? What is the display detail on the picture on your screen? If you want, here's things, position format, altitude, distance, and feet and miles. If you click on it, you can go into the metric, meters, speed units, miles per hour, kilometers per hour, knots, temperature, Fahrenheit or Celsius. You have those controls. So wind speed, miles per hour, you know, all knots, etc. All that can be adjusted. DV and speech. So your digital voice settings are all in here. GPS. You can set up your GPS settings for your radio, DTMF and Bluetooth. I don't have anything listed here, but a lot of people say, okay, here's my handheld. I don't have a DTMF pad with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. How do I dial up on the IRLP, or I want to make a phone call if a repeater has an auto patch? I can't dial the telephone numbers. What you do is you go in and you've got 15 pre-settings. So let's say there's 10 IRLP nodes that you go to constantly. All you need to know is go to DMR setting 3, and that'll connect me to Sudbury, or DMR 10, that connects me to Toronto, or whatever. So you can set things up that way. So other than setting that up, D-Star, you have the D-Star settings, and this is where you put in your call sign, the note for the radio you're operating, and your transmit messages that scroll across the bottom of your D-Star radio. So you've got Allen Little Current, Al in Little Current, Al Ontario, Canada, Al Manitoulin Island. You can set up different types, and depending what you got your selected TR message, I put one Allen Little Current. So when I key up on my 5100 radio, you'll see Allen Little Current with V3AEJB that comes across. Then you have your pre-set up that you don't have to punch it in. They're all pre-set up with the different reflectors in here, and the ones that I use the most. And I've got down at the bottom here, you've got over 300, I think, different settings. I have all the XRF reflector settings set up here. So I just go to the radio, want to connect to a setting, it's all pre-set up in here. And then when you're all done setting the radio up the way you want, you go up here to communications, and it's fairly simple. Get data from radio. That's when you want to download the information from the radio or send data to radio. You click on that. It sends you information. Turn off your radio. Insert your USB 29 alpha cable, so it will tell you exactly the cable to use for that particular radio. I go into my trusty bag and I look it up, and there's my USB 29 alpha cable. Okay, and plug that into the radio, turn on the radio, click OK, and send the data. You click OK, and then the line will come across, usually a blue or green line that comes across here. Once it goes to the end, all the information is now inserted in the radio. It gives you a success acknowledgement, and bang, your radio is loaded, and away you go. It's that.
Can I add something there, Al?
Absolutely. Go ahead, Luke.
It's always a good practice to make a copy of what's in the radio before you do anything.
Absolutely.
So receive from the radio first to a file, name the file appropriately, and then try to program it.
Absolutely. Good idea. I forgot to mention that. So what you do is you go to File, and you go to Save As. And when you click Save As, it brings it up, and here are other files that I've already put in. And the format that I tend to use, as Luke has mentioned, is I call it with my call sign. So if I'm programming one of your radios, here was Dave's, W9DF. So I programmed Dave's radio. Here's John, V3BB. So I know which radio it is and what profile it is. Then I call the radio number. All right, I want to make sure I'm doing the ID 5100. I put that in there. And then I do, is it a home or is it a mobile radio? Because I have two 5100s. I've got one on the desk here, and I've got one in my car. So I want to make sure, they're normally identical, but I do that. And then the date that I did the file, this was the 3rd of March, 2019. And then it's saved. So if I want to refer back to that, all I do is click on that particular item. And of course, that's if I wanted to have a look at it. So let's say I wanted to bring up Dave's. Open that up, go to the radio ID 5100, click OK. And then I click on Dave's W9DF, hit open. And now watch what happens. Takes a second for it to load. Now I've got all Dave's information in here. And what I can do is I can cut and paste between these two files. There's mine in the orange and Dave's in the green. And you can cut and paste, do this, cut, paste, go over here, cut, go do this and paste. And they will flip back and forth from one another. And of course, you can see the difference when I go to settings or D-Star, say for instance, there was Dave's information there, W9DF, Dave West Lafayette. And that with it. So, I mean, this software is really amazing. And the other thing is I can take the ICOM directory and put it in a Yaesu or a Kenwood or another type of, so I don't have to sit and punch in all these frequencies again, because it takes time punching in every single channel and going through it that
Yeah,
way.
what I was getting at, Al, is in the communications drop down,
Yes.
read the radio and save the file before you change anything.
Oh, okay. From originally, yes. And that's another good point there, Luke, because every radio has its own personal ID in there. Okay. It's like a fingerprint. Every radio has a different serial number in that. So you set up a profile. So even if it's a brand new radio out of the box, and a very good point, Luke, thank you for sharing that. You take that out of the box, you plug your cables into it and download. Now what'll happen is you're not going to get all these frequencies on there. You may get the standard 146.010 as one frequency across the top, you know, just a basic frequency there. But it's taken all the parameters out of there, and then you it sets up a profile. Save that basic profile, and then you cut and paste and add to the new, and then shoot it back into the radio. So yeah, very good point that way with it. So that's RT System software, and basically how it's used. It works extremely well. It's a great program, and like I said, for $25 and buying the cable for the radio itself, it's
when you're in that program,
Yep.
You're showing to save the profile in the ICOM, but if you were in a Yaesu, does Yaesu have the same systems? They have a built-in profile, I would imagine, and you would save the profile of the Yaesu as well before you go into
for sure.
downloading the different.
Yep, absolutely. So let me see. I believe. Let me just check my screen.
If you have a new radio, then saving that original programming, you'll probably only find one or a few channels programmed in it. But I think the important point that Luke is stressing is you get the settings, the original settings that were programmed into the radio, perhaps.
Yeah.
But
your
Yaesu would
starting
still
point
have that
shouldn't
same.
mess
You would do
anything
the
up.
same with Yaesu radio, though.
Every radio, every
Every- oh,
radio.
Okay.
And I was going to say, for those of you who don't think you have any knowledge of programming in Windows, you've just got a lesson on database and spreadsheets options here. That's what this is spreadsheet and database.
Excel.
Exactly.
You mentioned Windows, but I'm actually running it in the Mac version because this goes both ways.
Oh, definitely. Oh, yeah. Any operating system. I'm sure Linux will do something similar.
Yeah, and I think all those prices you're quoting are American because Radio World, that setup with the cable is closer to $60.
That's true. $50 or $60, I think, is the RT software with the cable standpoint.
Yeah, I failed to mention that. Thank you for sharing that. Of course, Canadians always more money, you know,
It's
with it.
because we have more money to spread around, Al.
Well, maybe, who knows? You know, all I know is I change over my Canadian money to American, go to Dayton, and I buy all this down in Dayton. So I'm not thinking about the conversion all the time. With
So
it.
you're saving a lot of extra money,
Well, I don't know about that.
spending less.
Anyway, just to answer your question, this is for the FT2D. So this is the Yaesu, okay, programmer. Looks identical. So what I can do, okay, is I can take this, again, cut and paste, all right, copy, all right. So I copy this, and I then go and bring up the ID 5100 software with ICOM. Bring
Oh, you
that
can,
up.
so you can interchange the programmings,
Absolutely.
not the
Absolutely.
programming stuff,
To a
but the
certain
files.
extent.
Just the
I-
files.
I wouldn't exchange between C4 FMS radio or
It
C4 FM
automatically
radio
does it. It
and
automatically,
a D-Star.
it automatically does it, Bob.
Yeah, but if you're trying to program a D-Star radio with C4 FM is what I'm saying, it
Right.
ain't going to take it.
No,
It
it does
won't
the
like it.
analog. It does the analog, absolutely. But it will take the frequencies and exchange them. Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, or Kenwood or any of the others, and that. Now, that's dealing with C4FM and that. Now, the nice thing about C4FM, different than D-Star, okay, is you have your operating mode, and the operating mode here is AM and FM. You can set up to go, and where is it here? I wonder if they did it on the 2. You can go for C4 FM and put that in the operating mode so that when you go to the channel, it automatically comes up in the DN or the VW mode. I'm trying to figure out where the heck that is. I think it's in here. It's got AM and FM. So I don't know if it's able to do it. I know on the FT3 you can do it. Maybe not on the 2. But the nice thing is, unlike ICOM with the your call and repeater 1, repeater 2, you don't have to do that with C4 FM. It automatically.
Which you kind of lost me there, Al, about the C4 FM there.
Right. Okay, so you have operating modes, right? You set up channels.
Yeah.
Okay. So channel 1 is RMI, V3 RMI on FM, because it's an analog repeater.
Okay.
You can set up another channel, V3 RMI digital, okay, with C4 FM. Rather than go to the radio, push the DX button and change it from FM to that, you can automatically have it go to digital.
But here in the programming, I'm not seeing that.
It's not on the FT2. I don't see
Oh,
it.
okay. Okay.
Normally-
Okay. I understand now.
Normally you would drop this down and it would have DN in here and you'd click on that and it would
Okay.
stick to the end. But it's not doing it on the FT2. I think
Well,
we added that with the FT3 and now the FT5.
and I have the 7250 and I've done it over a number of channels, including putting in the reverse frequencies beside the original frequency.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a good idea too. Absolutely. Then you've got the
So it varies with the Yaesu radio, the model number then.
I think so. I think so. The FT2 didn't do it.
No.
What model number? Do you have a Yaesu radio?
No.
I do. Yeah,
No, Bob is mentioning it.
I have
just-
the FT2 and the 7250.
Okay, now the
and-
7250, can you switch it?
Oh yeah, I programmed them that way. So
Okay.
on channel 1, I'll look at PE3 TOP, and right on channel 2, I have the reverse of TOP. And then I go through a simplex channel, then I follow that with RMI, and then RMI in reverse, RMI digital, and I also did that with the TOP digital reverse. Okay, so you can do what you want with the programming.
Depending
Yeah.
on the radio that you're using.
Okay, so here we go, Claude. The FT2 did not do it because it's an older radio. I just brought up the FT3. So this is what the 7250 and that does with it. So share the screen, and
Like
here's
the 999, I won't have any trouble doing that.
it should do it. So you see here's the FT3. Okay, this is the FT3D programmer.
Okay.
All right. So you go over
Okay.
operating mode,
Okay. You drop down the box. Okay.
drop down the box,
Uh-huh.
FM, AM, DN, and VW.
Oh, okay.
All right, so we normally use
The end.
DN mode for
Uh-huh.
digital. So if I wanted to change RMI, I go there and you see now it's in. So when I brought up this frequency,
Yeah.
it is now in the DN mode. As a matter of fact, what I did is I had two frequencies. I named it V3 RMI and C4 FM RMI. The first one's in FM, the second one.
And the one's okay. Yeah, I see it.
I just named mine with the digital to the DN after the call sign. And but if you had with the Yaesu handy talkies, if you had the video mic, then you could use the VW setting as well.
I didn't see a VW setting there when you drop down
Just
the box.
it's just below the DN when he dropped down the box.
Okay. Okay. I didn't notice it there.
Mm-hmm.
So let me just go back here.
Hey, guys, thanks for being there. I gotta get going here. So,
So much information, so little room in the brain.
Take care, Luke.
yeah, starts going in one end and out the other. Okay, talk to you later.
Take care, Luke.
Bye for
7-3.
now.
Bye, Luke.
Okay, so there's my FT3. All right, so I have one channel, V3 RMI on 147.270 with FM. I changed the knob at the top, and now the next channel.
Where are you, Al? I lost you.
Look at my little screen.
Where?
Hang on,
Okay, I got it. Okay, I'm sorry.
hang on.
You're-
Let me turn this off so it comes up big on your screen. Okay, so here it is here. Okay,
Yeah, okay.
let me.
0.270. Okay, 147. Okay.
Hang on, just let me talk here. Okay, let me get this focused in. Come on. Oh, these cameras are a pain and you know what. Anyway,
I can
You
see
have
the
to have about a
147.27.
you think you have to have about a 6-inch distance between the object you're trying to view and the camera.
Okay, 147.270. I can see it there.
okay, so you can see it there now.
Yeah.
Go to the next channel, and now I'm on 147. It's not going to focus, but anyway, that's where.
370.
Yeah.
No.
So one's FM, the next one's C4 FM. So yeah, so you can set it up that way with the programming with it. All right, so the last area that I want to go to, and I know Michael is interested with it there, and
Seems
Andy's
pretty
showing
good there,
his
Andy.
radio there.
Yeah, it's showing good, Andy.
Same thing.
my camera doesn't want to focus. I think it's meant for further back or whatever the case. And Rusty has the same issue there. He's blurry again. So welcome to the blurry world. All right. So the next handheld that is very popular, where is it? Is the Anytone. Okay. Anytone systems. And great radio, good information. And let me just bring this up here. Yeah. So it's got the setting on there. There it goes. Let it focus. And I've got this set up for the open spot for that with it. But it's got multitude of testing now.